Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the CineMatch podcast, the podcast where we take more than two.
Definitely
we
not
take
to today.
plenty of movies every week and find different ways to debate and rate them. My name is Cal Altimus, and I am one of your hosts. And joining me, as he does every week, is Mr. Nathan Hanna, your other host, no longer co-host. We've given him a new title, just hoping it keeps him quiet.
The feedback has come in. We've listened to the one person that's been on behind me saying, "Why aren't you just the other host?"
It just sounds weird, I think, saying, because I had to say the other host. Usually, a co-host, I'd be your co-host as well. There's two of us. It means we're co.
I didn't have a problem with it.
Who was it? Do I know?
Yeah, we're married to her.
Typical favoritism. That's what that is. There's bias there.
She wants me to take over. I want to share in all that advertisement money we don't make.
Yeah,
Where's that Toblerone money?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, shocking. But yeah. So last week we recorded our 10th episode together. What a milestone! I'm surprised we've lasted this long.
I'm not surprised. I'm a delight to be around.
Maybe it's me that I'm talking about.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, we alluded to it last week. We decided to do something special this week, and we're going to bring back the Battle Royale, which is what we used to rank the Harry Potter franchise several episodes ago, and we're going to use it to rank some of the best films we've done so far. So we've done 6 showdowns, I believe, comparing the films like Back to the Future, Fast and Furious, that sort of thing. We've got loads. And then we decided to take the 6 winners from that, as well as the movies that we picked first in the category Carnage, because we didn't just want to leave it with a small number. So we've gone a nice.
Well, we had to play rock, paper, scissors for him. So I feel like we got our best choices out first for the category Carnages. I won 2 out of 3 games, just throwing that out there. Is it Battle Royale or Battle Royale?
I don't know. If it's spelt with an E, I say Royale. If it's just Royal, then I say Royal.
Cool. We spell it with an E.
Then it's Battle Royale. But yeah, so yeah, we've got a number of. How many films have we got in the end? No,
10, because we've had 10 episodes. But
that's
technically 10. So we've got 6 CineMatch showdowns. We've got 1 Battle Royale, which was Harry Potter, and then we've got 3 category Carnages in which we're using our first picks for each one. So 10 in total, kind of, because we had a draw one week. So that'll be interesting when we get to that. 10 in total.
Yeah, so just to clear up any doubt, then we'll quickly run through the movies we've got for this. Like we said, throughout the 6 CineMatch showdowns we've done, we've taken the winners from each one. So we've got Back to the Future, we've got Alien, we've got Oppenheimer, we've got South Park the movie, and we've got a tie between Captain America Civil War and Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice. So what we've done there is we've taken them as a package deal. So those 2 are going to be as one. And then rounding out the list after that, we've got the movies that we took first in the category Carnages. So we've got your 2 picks in the Marvel and the MCU and DC ones, which were, what can you remind us?
Age of Ultron.
Yeah, one of the best MCU films, I'm sure.
It has our boy Hawkeye in it. So, yeah, it is. And that's the reason it got picked, thanks. And Superman, 1979 Superman with the Superman theme, because there's nothing beating that theme still.
You're not wrong. One of my favourite superhero films ever, so I'm glad we've got that included. And then with the Pixar category Carnage, I took Up first for the best opening in a Pixar movie, so we've got Up as well. And the last movie we're getting was from the very first Battle Royale we did, which was the Harry Potter one, where we ranked the franchise, and we had Goblet of Fire as the number 1 Harry Potter movie, so we decided to take that as well. So we've got 10 movies there, 10 very good movies, apart from Age of Ultron.
Excuse me.
To be fair, I actually think it's underrated. I think it's not as bad as people make out. But
what if I said it's the best Avengers film?
Then I'd say that sounds like something someone who likes Lightyear would say.
I wish I'd got in there first so I could have got Lightyear in there. In retrospect, I should have really worked harder.
Yeah, that's on you. That's on you. You let yourself down there.
Yeah, that's true. So, Battle Royale, like same rules as last time. We'll talk about one of the films. We don't have to talk about it as much this time because we spent literally hours talking about them
Yeah,
before. So we won't talk about them as much, but we'll talk about them a little bit, and then we'll move on to the next week's, and then we'll rank them. Is it better? Is it worse? And that's how we'll get our ranking. And then we'll just keep going it that way. That where we'll keep it going. We'll keep you updated as we're going along. It took a while for you to get what we were doing the first time, and this is the
yeah,
second battle royale.
yeah. I feel like I've got the concept now, so it should be smooth sailing from here on out. So
Should
yeah, we might
be.
as well get started then. No beating around the bush.
Can't believe
What's the
you went the
first?
same movie two weeks in a row.
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I like how you change shit.
That's because I told you I was that hot in that room, and I can't wear vests anymore.
I'm about to
I'm,
say 2 episodes of no vest. The viewers are gonna be tuning out. That's why they turn in. But right, yeah, let's get
so,
started then. So, what movie are we opening up with?
so after our first week, so it's 10 episodes together. It's not our 10. It's not 10 episodes total. It was our 10 episodes because it's just special, isn't it? Me and you, best friends.
I feel like it's like
Yeah, I'm
Dr.
definitely
Cox
your best
and
friend.
Kelso in season 8. When
Wait,
Kelso retires and starts loving Dr. Cox and Cox can't stand him.
oh, so I'm the old one.
Yeah, you're the one that's
Yeah.
the OAP that's latching on.
That's fine. That's fair. So our first episode was Back to the Future versus Ghostbusters, with Back to the Future coming out on top, which I felt you was pretty smug about.
I mean, I had to be. It's my favorite film of all time. It's going to be a very tough one, this because I'm going to fight this movie's corner as if my life depends on it. Because there's not many films in the world. I mean, there's films that I think are better, but
Yeah,
there's not any film in the world that I enjoy more. So it's going to be hard to even consider anything going above it. So this is going to be very interesting. But it's my favorite film ever. I love the entire cast. I love everything about it. I don't
yeah.
know what else to say.
It's
That's
gonna
it.
be it's gonna be interesting because the next film, like the film coming up, is Oppenheimer. So we're gonna have to rank Back to the Future against them. So like this is gonna be a very strange way of doing things. Like it's gonna be probably like one of our weirder episodes. Like probably on par with Oppenheimer versus Barbie. But yeah, I mean, Back to the Future is a great film. We talked about it a lot. Like I wasn't that upset that I lost. Well, not I lost, but technically that first episode was an I lost kind of business. With Ghostbusters, because I mean, I love Ghostbusters, but Back to the Future is a great movie, so I wasn't too upset about it. Um, yeah, I think Back to the Future specifically, and I'm pretty sure it's been a while since we did 10 episodes since we did it. But I can't remember talking about it. But it's such a feel good movie. Like there's nothing about that film that just you can't just put on and feel better about life and just
100%.
feel cheered up.
100%. Like it's my go-to every time I'm ill or can't sleep or feeling down or anything. I watch it all the time. I mean, I watched the second one the other last week, and that holds up just like really well as well. I think the entire franchise is just wonderful to me. That first film though is still the number one, and it's just the cast. I think the entire cast is great. I don't think anyone could have played the roles that they did quite as effectively as the group did. Like we see,
Unless what's your favorite musical?
but they don't do anywhere near as good a job.
But you said nobody else could play him. That was the whole
No, as
point. You said,
effectively. I say that as
okay,
effectively.
all right. You learned to add that at the end, have you?
Which when you watch the second one and you see the recast Crispin Glover, it's not the same. The recast Jennifer, and I love Elizabeth Hugh. Like I think she's great in like The Karate Kid and Cocktail and The Boys, but she's not on Claudia Wells level in the first one. And I just think they got it absolutely nailed on that first time. And like I said, it's impossible for me to watch that film and not have a smile on my face the entire time. It's just so good.
There's definitely like a legacy to it as well. Like I was seeing, it was came up on my Twitter that busted a touring again, and at the end of the tour, like Doc Brown comes up on the screens and he's talking about like I think it's before Year 3000's played or something, and it's like a little homage to Back to the Future. He's playing Doc Brown again. I think Christopher Lloyd, not Doc Brown, but he's playing Doc Brown again, and it's like even now, it's still beloved. Like if they announce a sequel, I imagine that hell would actually break loose.
Yeah, I think because we know what we know, and we know if there was a sequel, there's no way in hell Michael J. Fox is in it. No one wants to see that without him. I was actually listening to the new Busted album earlier on my way to uni, and I listened to that Year 3000 song they did with the Jonas Brothers. And even I love that there's a reference to Back to the Future. And as a kid, I feel like the first time it clicked for me that because I was a big Busted fan as a kid, I was obsessed when I was like 6, 7. And the first time it clicked with me that they were talking about the flux capacitor, and that was what was in Back to the
You're like,
Future.
oh my God,
It all
mind
changed.
blown.
It
It
all
all
changed.
changed.
But yeah, I love the film. It's going to be hard for anything to beat it for me today, so we'll see how this goes. But yeah, no notes, brilliant.
No, no notes. 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
Is it?
absolutely.
Is it 5 star on your letterbox?
Is it 5? It'd be 6 if it could be.
Well, sure. Never mind. Right. So week 2, we did Barbie and Oppenheimer. I feel like Barbie would have been a better contender against Back to the Future because Oppenheimer is literally the exact opposite of what everything that Back to the Future is. It's not really uplifting. Well, it is in a very strange way, but it's not really uplifting. It's very downtrodden. It's very serious. It's very heavy movie. How do we even begin to compare it against Back to the Future?
Yeah, it's hard to do so. I rewatched Barbie after we did that episode, and I came out liking it more than I did the first time. I've only watched Oppenheimer once, so I need to rewatch that and see how I feel. But given the chance to turn it back, I might have gone more in Barbie's favor after rewatching it. So it is interesting that Oppenheimer won out on the day, and especially considering it was me that swung it that way. I remember because you had it tied like a fraud.
What word was you about to? What was you about to say?
It was. It's a really good film. There's no
No,
like
it's
arguing against it.
here it goes. I can see you winding up to defend.
No, I love Oppenheimer, and I'll be really surprised if it doesn't sweep up the awards at the Oscars next year because I think it is a masterpiece and it is one of Christopher Nolan's best films. I think technically it is stunning, and I'd say the technical aspects of it are probably some of the best I've seen in quite some time, and they'll hold up for years to come, I think. And performances like Cillian Murphy in the lead role and Robert Downey Jr. in supporting, I think they're going to be looked at very, very fondly for quite some time. It's just,
I
it's
think everybody's role in that film will be looked at fondly. Like Emily Blunt's, like doesn't get talked about enough, but like
yeah,
her quiet rage carries a lot of the emotion in that film.
yeah. And I always love Matt Damon, and I think he did a
Oh
stellar job as well.
yeah,
But this is hard because I think it's a great film, but I don't think it's quite there. It's hard to rate it in the same lens because Back to the Future's had all these decades to build this legacy, and we've seen it age well. We've seen people still welcome it the same way they did 40 years ago, which is grim to say. But like it's hard to tell whether in 10, 15 years people will look back at Oppenheimer and revisit it the way they do with Back to the Future. Does it have that rewatchability? Will it have the legacy that Back to the Future? I mean, it's not going to have like a franchise, Simmer. It's
you
not going
never
to
know.
have theme park rides or video games. It'd be weird as hell if it did.
You never know.
Yeah, I suppose there's Warner Brothers are
The
trying
movie
anything.
culture nowadays, it could be. And I think the thing with Oppenheimer is it's people have already started turning on it on some aspects of it, especially like with Florence Pugh's character. Um, and I think you're right. Like it's unfair because it's unfair for a lot of these films because Back to the Future does have such a legacy that it's hard not to look at it through that lens. But I hate that I'm going to say this, but I don't think that Oppenheimer will have legs like Back to the Future. And obviously, it's a very, very different film. I think everybody will know the film Oppenheimer in the way that everybody knows the film Godfather and in the way that everybody knows the film Apocalypse Now and all of that kind of stuff. It's going to be one of those movies. But Back to the Future, it's not the better movie, but it is the better movie, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
it makes 100% sense.
Like Oppenheimer isn't designed to be the film that you just turn on when you want to recover from a hangover, but it also isn't like I watched it in the IMAX once, and I was like, I'm not rating it 5 stars until I've seen it a second time. But I didn't rush back. We tried to rush back to Barbie, which is weird because I think we should probably do it again and in like I don't know, in a couple of months' time, see how it ranks again, like a rewind episode or something. But like I didn't rush back, and then when I've realised it was not in the IMAX anymore and I couldn't watch it in the IMAX, I was a little like, oh right, okay, whatever. Whereas like with films like Top Gun and stuff, I kicked myself for not getting it. So for that, I think for me, if it was Back to the Future, I'd be running back to watch it. So I will say Back to the Future over Oppenheimer, just so you don't have to be so smug on the first round.
No, I think it's fair. Like it is hard to judge considering it's such a new film, and time will tell how it holds up. It's hard to view it in the same lens, and also, like we said, they're completely different movies, so it's a
Yeah.
strange one to rank. But it's not
Also,
just the go
sorry, go
on.
on.
I'm
No,
just
you.
saying it's not just like what's the better film. It's like it's everything that encompasses it. It's the way it makes you feel. It's all the performances. It's the legacy. It's you think about the categories we do in a showdown, and it's like all of those combined, like the performances, the story. It's everything, and I think that's what puts Back to the Future above Oppenheimer. At least we'll see how the rest of the list shakes out, but already I think that's how it goes.
I think in my head, Oppenheimer is one of Nolan's best movies, but it's not The Prestige. Whereas Back to the Future is my favorite time travel movie.
Yeah.
So like that helps way. That helps logistically in my head.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, Nolan's obviously a really great director, and he's made some wonderful films. And Oppenheimer, it's one of his best, but not quite there. Whereas I think, similarly with Robert Zemeckis, who's made some incredible movies over the years, including like Forrest Gump and What Lies Beneath and things like that. But Back to the Future is probably still his magnum opus for me, so that also plays a significant role.
Yeah, agreed. So after Oppenheimer, we went for our first. I feel like this is your life. Like after Oppenheimer, we went for our first category Carnage, which you were very proud of coming up with that name,
Incredible name, absolutely fantastic.
and I complimented it with a logo. Just I deserve a compliment sometimes, but uh,
Hey, I've been giving you plenty about the
no, to be
social
fair,
media stuff.
you do it over.
More than I used to give.
This is why, like, I consistently say to people when they talk to me about the podcast, I'm like, I can't wait until we find a way we can do it in person because I think that'll make it so much better. But I genuinely don't think you'll be able to compliment me to my face.
Yeah, probably not.
Like,
No, probably not.
I think it being for a screen makes it less real for you. It's more like a video game. It's not
Yeah,
real.
yeah, yeah. I can pretend it's not you.
So yeah, we went for our first category Carnage, and we played. I mean, we played it real safe. We went MCU, but it was the best one to do, and I won the first round of rock paper scissors because I'm a superior athlete. And
Yeah, the comeback's on. It's 2-1 now. Just wait. Turning that around.
so I immediately out the gate, sorry, made sure my boy Hawkeye got some love with his role in Age of Ultron. So Age of Ultron's the pick to go against Back to the Future and Oppenheimer. And honestly, I think he's a good contender.
Do you know what's interesting though? Looking back at that, is you could have waited until one of the very last rounds to pick main character and take Hawkeye because that guy wasn't being taken. You were safe. You were safe.
Yeah, but
But you went with it anyway.
you could have picked Age of Ultron for anything, and
I don't know what I'd have picked that for.
no, me neither. But it's fine. We used it. I used it. It's fine. And now we've got the best Avengers.
You can't say it with a straight face.
No, I can't, and that's probably why. That's probably gonna hinder me on this round. But
Yeah. I always said to you, I think Age of Ultron's actually underrated. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as a lot of people make out. And I think seeing the Avengers socialize as friends was actually really like entertaining, and I really enjoyed it. And there's some of the scenes where like they were at the party and Cap goes to lift the hammer and it moves slightly, or that first scene when they take down Hydra, which is disappointing on the sense that it immediately just erases Hydra after how Winter Soldier painting him as such a serious threat. But the banter the team were having together, I think it was really entertaining. So I like Age of Ultron, and I liked Ultron as a villain. I liked the introduction of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and Vision. It's probably the worst Avengers film, though.
But that's like saying that's one of them where it's like,
Like saying Back to the Future 3 is the worst Back to the Future movie.
yeah, they're all great.
Yeah. No, it is. I think it's weird. Some people talk about it like it's an atrocity, and it's not. I think it's good.
Literal shit. Yeah,
I like it.
It's not Love and Thunder or Flash, uh, but no, I've got a lot of love for Age of Ultron, and I actually think it does. There's some things in that film that it does better than any other film. Like the socializing scene is literally the best in any Marvel film in terms of a team socializing, even compared to like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like I think it sets up Endgame when they're coming up with the plan and they're having a bit of fun with it. The time travel plan, having a bit of fun with it, but it just does it so much better. And I saw it pointed out on Twitter actually the other day that Age of Ultron's the last time all six Avengers fight together
That
because
makes sense. Yeah.
Infinity War they're not all together. Endgame, Black Widow's dead,
Yeah.
so it's like the last, and it's that like you say that opening scene where they all jump at the same time, and you got that lineup shot, which I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I know I get told my controversial opinions aren't really controversial, and then you end up agreeing with me anyway. But I don't know if you will with this one. I genuinely prefer that shot to the circle shot in the first Avengers film.
Um.
Okay,
Not
that one you're
sure.
not going to.
Yeah,
Okay, that
I'm
one
not
you're not going
sure.
to agree with.
No, I don't think so. They're both good though.
It
Very
is.
good. It's
Um,
strange though that, like you said, that's the last time they teamed together. So we only actually got two Avengers movies when they were all together.
those Avengers, yeah, yeah.
But how are you rating it then?
I
Is
mean,
it above or below Back to the Future?
I'm going to take into account it is Hawkeye's movie. Like, no, all jokes aside, obviously I know I love Hawkeye, but all jokes aside, the scene where they go to the farm and with his family, and it's literally like this is this is what we're kind of fighting for. This is my normal life kind of thing. And you've got that scene where like you've got Captain America and Thor and everybody's just stood in the living room. Like that's part of the reason why I love the character so much because it is that I've always joked, but I 100% mean it. That's he is the heart, and that film's shown you the heart and what people are fighting for more than any of the others. I think personally, out of the Avengers films, anyway, I think personally, and that's why I love it. And that's another thing that it did. But I can't rate it higher than Back to the Future or Oppenheimer. So
So we've got Age of Ultron third so far. Falls below both of them. I mean, it's probably fair. It's a good film, but I don't think it's exactly like a five-star classic type of situation. And I don't think, like I said, there's a large majority of the population that seem to think it's trash.
yeah, and like you said, you kind of alluded to there. If I used Hawkeye, I don't know what other category I would have used it in. So it's not even in my. I think it's genuinely not even in my like top five or even probably even top 10 of Marvel movies. There's that many good ones that I can't, in good conscience, rate it high. Not when you've got like Endgame where Hawkeye's even in it even more.
Yeah, I've just thought actually, and don't think I'd have it in my top 10 MCU movies, which
No,
is, I mean, sad for that, but it's good. Just not
underrated.
great.
A
Yeah, it's
lot of
definitely
a lot
underrated.
of a lot of great things weighed down by a lot of, I think, missed timing.
Yeah. I think it's also a shame that was the only time we saw Quicksilver. I think because Fox bagged the
No,
character, they had to get rid of
it
him.
was the One Division TV show, wasn't
No, that was Ralph Boner or something like that. I think he was called. Terrible.
it? Well,
Um,
at least it's not the Loki TV show.
yeah, not that trash. Although
Um,
Sylvie looks like she's going to carry that this season. I've seen from the trailer.
yeah, Sylvie, it was the
Sylvie's the
best guy.
star.
I didn't really like Loki TV show, but I really liked Sylvie. So,
Yeah, I
um,
think Morbius was a bit of a drag, but
yeah,
Sylvie was top notch.
cool. So moving on before we get death threats. Um, so this one's going to be interesting because this one has a massive legacy. Probably, I'm going to go ahead and fucking say it, Carl. This has probably got a bigger legacy than Back to the Future, and I don't think you can deny that. in terms of what it is, but we went with the classic pairing of Alien versus Predator. So we did the first Alien movie versus the first Predator movie, and Alien came out on top, which didn't surprise me. I was surprised that you didn't fight for Predator as much as you did for Alien, to be honest. But Alien did come out on top. So Alien is one of them that changed the genre really, because I've heard, obviously, look, I'm old. I'm not that old, but I've heard like stories of how Alien was like it was horror movies and it was Alien movies, and then all of a sudden there was an Alien horror movie, and people were like, "What is that? Like, is that possible?" kind of thing. And that's kind of the stories I've read up and I've heard through like listening and watching stuff. So it was like something that really changed it. And obviously it reinvented itself with the sequels and what have you. But I think it really changed like cinema in a way that all of a sudden these different genres can mix, like action movies and Alien all of a sudden in like Predator and all that kind of stuff. So what are your thoughts on Alien, knowing that it's got such a stronger legacy than
Whoa,
Back to
whoa,
the
whoa.
Future?
Let's not say it's got such a stronger legacy.
Well,
Listen, I love Alien,
Did Back to the Future change the course of cinema history?
straight up. I don't know. I've got no reason or logic to why it did, but it did. It gave us the ride at Universal Studios. Well, I don't know
That's
what me to
that's
tell
a
you.
fair point. That's a fair point.
And tell me when Aliens got a Broadway musical, then we'll talk.
I surely there's got to have been a musical about Alien.
Probably somewhere. But no, listen, I love Alien. I think it's 100% one of the best horror slash sci-fi movies ever. I think it's one of the best movies in general ever. I think the way it flipped everything on its head and it introduced us to Sigourney Weaver as a leading lady, the practical effects, which I think are still really effective to this day.
Till the
Ridley
end.
Scott, who obviously went on to be one of the best directors ever. I just think Alien is a wonderful, wonderful film. And it is hard to deny that its legacy is pretty incredible. I think some of its sequels have kind of hurt the franchise's legacy as a whole, because after the second one, I think things kind of drop off a cliff a bit. Like
Yeah.
the third one is pretty fucking terrible. Like, and the fourth, I've not even watched because all I've heard is bad things. And then there's like the Prometheus and Covenant. I didn't mind Covenant,
Still
but I
not watched
think
them. I want to get around to watching them all because I've not watched four either.
I've heard four is straight trash, so I never bothered. But I watched Covenant at the cinema and I really liked it, to be fair. But like the way, like you said, it combined two different genres and the creature design, it was so unique. And it's hard to really find anything negative to say about Alien, which is why I
Well,
mean, I
we think the only thing that we kind of fell down with on Alien is that at the end the suit started to look a bit. The alien looked really goofy
yeah,
because it was
yeah,
just swinging. I think the ending really hurts like the film a little bit, but not enough for me to not absolutely love it and what it did and the feel of the film as well. It's so, I mean, purposely so, but so claustrophobic.
yeah. I think with Alien, it was like a less is more approach. So seeing the alien at the end, it gives you a chance to see those little faults, and it's better when you don't see as much. Similar with Jaws and the shark, seeing less is more effective, and that
Yeah,
was what I felt was with Alien. Like you said, that ending is the only real bit where it's like, oh, well, especially when it's outside floating, and it's like Jesus.
yeah.
So
But for the time, like it's still massively impressive.
yeah, yeah, and
Everything
I've
else,
been
like
very
the design of the inside of the Nostromo, like the alien planet, like what I talked about it, like how they all just felt like blue collar workers, and that feel really came across. Like, yeah, it's such a oppressively claustrophobic film. Like saying it's a joy to watch feels weird, but it's a joy to watch.
yeah,
It's like
yeah, and
it's almost a masterclass. Like people have come later with more CGI, special effects, and whatever, and still not managed to bring me the feeling that the first Alien does.
yeah. There's a sense of dread throughout that I don't think the franchise ever
This is an
recaptures.
alien.
There's a couple, I think, as the franchise goes along. Um,
I've heard in the second one there's aliens, but I don't know.
there's a big bastard in the second one, real big bastard, and I'm not just talking about Bill Paxton. Um, but yeah, I do like Alien, and it's easy to rank it quite highly against almost any film in the list. I'm not
Would you rank
sure.
it? Would you rank it more than Age of Ultron?
Yes,
Would you rank it more than Oppenheimer?
yes,
Would you rank it more than Back to the Future?
no.
Why not?
I just think, like I said earlier, touching on like the sequels and stuff, the franchise itself hasn't aged as well, whereas the Back to the Future one has, and there's a reason the Back to the Future movies aren't being remade, and it's because fans would cause an uproar. Whereas the Alien franchise is constantly being rebooted. They're making another one now. Like
Yeah, it was a
it's
cancelled one as well, wasn't it?
yeah, it's the thing. That's the thing with Alien is it doesn't have that impact on. It doesn't have the same impact on fans the way Back to the Future did. Like we've seen different stories in that universe now with Prometheus and Covenant, where we've seen different characters. Back to the Future was Marty and Doc all the way through, whereas Ellen Ripley came and went.
Mm.
And I don't get me wrong, I think Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley was incredible and one of the most iconic like female action stars ever. But when you consider that there's now been two, and possibly there's going to be more movies without her as the lead. Whereas Back to the Future, you can't make it without Michael J. Fox or Christopher Lloyd, and we've seen that. And fans online now are still to this day vocal about how dead set against a reboot they'd be. I think it's hard in that sense to put Alien above it because while it's a very good film, I don't think the performances and everything around it lands the same with everyone. That
What
makes
if
sense.
what if the remake Back to the Future but had Doc Brown played by Eric Stoll?
That'd be fucking straight up garbage. That's the thing. I don't think there's anyone on earth that can do what Christopher Lloyd did. Like, don't get me wrong, I loved the
Jack
That's the
Black.
Future musical, and I think Roger Bart was fine. Like, he was good. And I'm probably going to catch heat for this because I know certain someone loves Roger Bart, but he's not even close to Christopher Lloyd. It's
Well, I
not.
don't know. I've not seen it, but I can with confidence say no.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's
is. Nobody is.
no. Then that's the issue, I think. So that's why I still have Back to the Future talk because I don't think you can replace it.
I'm not going to argue.
Beautiful. I
I
thought
rock
that
on.
one I was going to get stumped on.
No, no, I can't because you everything you said's right, and there are things that haven't aged. And it is an older film, but there are things that haven't aged well with Alien, particularly the ending. I don't like when she's in the escape pod and the aliens there. Like I feel it's ended too late there. It should have ended a bit sooner. I always feel that way. Like if it was executed better, I probably would have liked it more. Whereas there's not a moment in Back to the Future, and I hate. Oh, actually, no, we've got one coming up that is really going to fucking stump you. But like, there's not a moment in Back to the Future that I get bored with ever.
Yeah,
So I can't argue you, unfortunately.
that's what I like to hear. So,
Though
can we just quickly recap that?
you do keep championing a film with a rape scene in it. So
Hey, it doesn't succeed. That's what matters. He
and
gets beaten
a
up.
couple, was it? Oh, was it 2 episodes ago? You were telling us how much you love Kevin Spacey. Anyway, so the next
Hey,
after
I didn't say no names. What film was that
uh,
for?
that was Bug's Life, when you were talking about
Oh yeah.
Hopper. Um, you were saying he was in the right.
Yeah, fuck those arms.
No, let's not use that word. Let's not use it that way. Phrase it that way. So after Alien, we did another category Carnage because we decided we couldn't watch 2 films a week as research, so we took a bit of a break. It really is like this is your life. This is how I'm setting this episode up.
The stroll down memory lane.
It is. And we did DC, which was the more the episode got on, the harder it was. But I got the first pick again because I smashed rock paper scissors again, and went for the best music and absolutely fucking blew you out of the water because it was the only choice. So we are pitting 1979, 1977,
78.
78. Superman, Christopher Reeves, the OG, the superhero movie that everybody says is the template. Like Kevin Feige still says to this day, like before they make any Marvel film, everybody, all the creatives sit down and watch Superman the movie. Like obviously DC don't do that, otherwise they'd make good films still. But it's the OG, it's the template, it's the one that can't be beat. The Christopher Reeve Superman. Good luck with this one, Cal. Because who's your Oh, I'm sorry. Who's your favorite superhero of all time?
Superman.
And who's your favorite Superman of all
Sex.
time?
This fucking guy.
Is this because I pulled the Lightyear book out the other week?
I've got to bring some sauce to the show.
And
Show me up. You
who
got
is the best Superman in your opinion?
Christopher Reeve. Absolutely
So,
100%.
okay, cool. So just tell me why this isn't better than Back to the Future.
This is hard, because Superman is, I think, one of the best superhero films ever. I think there's similarly to Back to the Future, which, by the way, still struggling with this. Hey,
That's Breakfast Club. I love Breakfast Club. What are you doing?
there it is. Yeah, but yeah, similarly to Back to the Future, I can't watch the Superman movie without having a smile etched across my face. I think it's perfect. I think the opening stuff with Krypton and Marlon Brando, who I think is without a doubt one of maybe the top 3 or 4 best actors ever, and seeing him as Jor-El, and then all the stuff with young Clark, and we see Martha and Jonathan Kent, and we see how he deals with his abilities as a child, only briefly, but we see it. And the way the movie just goes through, and what's surprising is we don't see Christopher Reeve until about half an hour in, which really surprised me. The last time I watched it, because I never quite noticed how long it was, but this time I realized
It's
and
a
I
long
checked.
film.
And he's perfect. I think he's everything I think of when I think of Superman. I think he perfectly embodies the character. He also is the perfect Clark Kent, and he finds that balance between the two, and he plays them so well that it's understandable why people wouldn't put the two together and wouldn't realize. Like his Clark Kent is worlds away from his Superman. Like it's so impressive to watch him just transition in a
And
split second.
everybody always says, "Oh, you slick, you put your hair different, and you put your glasses on, and like what you don't know Superman." But they genuinely like we know because we know what we're watching. But you look at him, and they like somehow when he's Superman, he looks in his face more muscular, and he's literally not doing anything different.
Yeah,
I
and I
don't know
think he
what
like maybe
it's a
slouches.
masterclass.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I think it's even his voice, the way his voice is Clark is like quite croaky, and it struggles. He struggles to get through sentences without it almost breaking.
Yeah,
Like, and then when he's Superman, he's so self assured and he's got bold and he's got like a strong voice. It's
he's got hair.
you don't.
Oh, that backfired.
I don't know why I said that. But yeah, I think he's perfect. I do. But
Oh, here we fucking go.
there are issues that I have with the Superman film, and I said this to you during the category Carnage, that I actually preferred the villains in Superman 2, and I think the general story in the first one, in terms of Lex Luthor and his master plan, was actually quite dull, and it was a little bit boring. The whole stuff with he's trying to flatten half the country to make real estate. It felt a little bit too cartoony. Whereas when they brought Zod in the second one and the stakes got raised, I think it got even better. So
You fucking dare.
I'm comfortable in saying that this is a very, very good film, but it's not the best film in this list.
Right, okay, now we need to talk because that's fucking stupid.
What's stupid? What do you mean?
That's stupid talk. I'm not even trying to be nice. That's stupid talk right there. No, I mean I get we like the Lex Luthor stuff, yeah, but it's I always see it as of the time, like that's what those comics were really. Like it was Lex trying to sell real estate, but like Back to the Future, there's not a second of the Superman movie that I dislike or am bored by or think fails or everything's every single like say what you want about Gene Hackman, he's Lex Luthor. Like every single person is cast perfectly. You've got, like you said, you've got like Jor-El, and you've got Clark Kent, and Lois Lane's perfect. Perry White's great. Jimmy Olsen's great. Lex Luthor, obviously. You've got the three bad guys from Superman 2 in Superman 1 as well. Mara and Pa Kent as well. Martha Kent is. I wonder what would happen if Adam West Batman, if Keaton's Batman and Reeves Superman ever met and they did the Martha scene. That's got to be done in AI somewhere. But from the scenes where he's on Krypton to the scenes where he's a kid to the growing up when he's running against the train, and when we first see him as Superman with a helicopter, and even the goofy shit like flying around the world backwards to turn back time that doesn't make fucking sense, but still it's just pure comic book joy. And not only is it pure comic book joy, but it's like I said, it's set the template. Like there's not a superhero movie that doesn't owe something to Superman, where Back to the Future, I don't think has had that kind of influence on the history of film. Like it has definitely had an influence. It had an influence on Busted, clearly.
And
But
McFly.
and McFly. But I don't think there's any. I don't think you can name one superhero film that's had as much of an impact as the first Superman movie. So we need to come to some
Ooh.
kind of agreement here, because I genuinely don't like, if you're talking about legacy and we're talking about what each film has done for the history of cinema. I don't think you can. Well, actually, I don't know. You're a pretty cocky bastard, but I don't think you can confidently sit there and say that Back to the Future has had more of an impact than Superman.
No, I think
Oh, there we
in
go. That
terms
was
of
going to get higher then.
in terms of what it did for the superhero genre, there's no question that a lot of these movies that we get today wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the Superman movie. And in terms of Back to the Future, yeah, it's hard to pick out a certain franchise that has really benefited from it because it was its own thing. It was a time traveling movie about a teenager and an old man. Like it's not in a very specific genre. Like sci-fi moved in a different direction after that. With things like Minority Report and stuff. There's not a big field of sci-fi movies aimed at like that sort of family friendly type of demographic. But who did you say was your favorite Superman?
You son of a bitch.
Who?
We're not arguing that.
No, who did you say?
Henry Cavill.
And what did you say about Amy Adams as Lois Lane?
She's my Lois Lane.
And would you say this Perry White was better than Lawrence Fishburne? Because I sure
Oh
as
yeah,
shit
no.
wouldn't.
Oh really?
I think Lawrence Fishburne was one of the best things about that.
Okay, that one we'll disagree on. But if you're gonna fucking trump me on that shit,
But it's like we just said, there's no one you can envision playing the Back to the Future characters, where you have been open on this podcast saying there are better versions of these characters.
I half expect you to be like pulling up your phone and be like, and this is the evidence, and like start playing a video. Start
Got
playing
sound
Well,
clips.
actually, you edit this shit, so you could probably just edit it in while I'm silent. You
Uh,
son of a bitch.
no,
Fine.
listen,
You. I can't believe you just fucking use my own logic against me. That makes me so angry.
I love Superman the character and I love Superman the movie, but I don't think I even have this second.
Really?
I mean, I'm happy to compromise, but so we might as well go through them. So what we've got Age of Ultron last. So how would you have it?
Oh no,
Above
it's not
Age of
better than Age of
Ultron?
Ultron.
Huh? It's not
It's not
better.
better than Age of Ultron.
It's
Something's
not
gone
got a
wrong.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, how many Superman films have got a Hawkeye in it? Fucking none. Yeah, it's better than Age of Ultron. I Oppenheimer is the better film. Like like it's filmed better. But it's like that's a culmination of years of build up and technology and experience. But Superman is still better.
Yeah. No, I agree. I have it above Oppenheimer. I think what hurts Superman the movie now though is there is so many people in this generation that prefer Man of Steel and view that as their Superman. So the legacy's been diminished a little bit in that sense. I think there's nowhere near enough appreciation for it by younger people these days, and that's
Okay.
what hurts it. I think.
Uh, I think it's better than Alien, and I think it should be ranked right higher than Back to the Future. But because you've used my own logic against me like a fucking son of a bitch,
I
I will compromise with number two if you're willing to compromise.
Yeah, I can settle for it being above Alien. It feels a bit blasphemous because I think Alien as an actual movie is probably superior, like the way it's filmed and the all of
Really?
that sort of
Or
thing.
like in actual as like cinematography and stuff.
Yeah,
Not
and I think like the creature design and everything they did and the legacy of that movie is probably better. But Superman to me,
you're
I
talking about the
prefer.
creature design in Superman's great. You're not seeing Gene Hackman's wig.
Yeah, and I've seen Krypton and all.
You're not like the shiny suits.
Fucking less said about them, the better. But yeah, second place above Alien for now. That I can settle with that.
Right now we're proper gonna fight because it's Fast and Furious, and you cannot deny the legacy of the Fast and Furious movies. No, to be fair, like we're ranking the first one, and the films got stupid almost immediately, and they went over the top almost immediately. But when you watched the first one, even you were surprised at how much you like it because it's way more of a down to earth, still silly, but way more of a down to earth story.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first one a lot more than I remembered. And in comparison to some of the later ones, it is actually a really good movie. I think the inclusion of Paul Walker really helped ground it, and he was like the heart of the story at the time. And I think Vin Diesel wasn't quite Vin Diesel yet, and he hadn't taken on those sorts of like mannerisms and the power that he has now, which has actually hurt the Dominic Toretto character, in my opinion. Um,
And Vin Diesel.
well, yeah, but I like the first Fast and the Furious movie. I think it's probably after five, maybe the best in the franchise. I still think number five is my favorite,
Okay.
but it is undoubtedly one of the best. And for its time, like those early 2000s, there weren't many better like action movies that were built in that sort of ilk. So yeah, I like the film. I don't think it's towards the top end of the list, but I do think it's good, and I don't think it's going to be dead last either.
Do you? I love you. I don't hide it from literally anybody. I came out of Fast X fucking crying with joy because it's such a fucking stupid movie. But that's what I love about those movies. But I genuinely think the first movie is a contender for one of my favorite movies of all time because it is such a good movie. It's not a well-made movie. I'm not. I'm not pretending it's a well-made movie. But like, if you compare the way it's shot and the way it's handled and this like how it's taken, it's actually trying to take itself somewhat seriously in comparison to everything else that comes afterwards. It's genuinely really good. I do like it more than Age of Ultron,
Yeah, I can agree that it's above Age of Ultron.
but I, in good conscience, can't say it's better than Oppenheimer.
That's where I thought we were going to have a disagreement because I was like, surely he's not going to put it above Oppenheimer. Like,
No, no, no,
I can't,
no,
I
I
can't
can't do it.
publish an episode of this show saying Fast and Furious is a better movie than Oppenheimer.
So anyway, guys, we did 10 episodes together. I need a new co-host. We'll just
Someone
name him
with
the
good
co-host.
taste,
Yeah, come on. I'm getting
someone who
sick of.
doesn't like you.
Oh, I know the perfect person.
No, it's it's a good film. It's definitely not the worst on the list, but yeah, I think Oppenheimer at the moment. I mean, there's only been a couple of films below, but Oppenheimer at the moment feels to be that. It's like that level. Everything above is like top
Gage.
class.
Yeah, everything above Oppenheimer has a legacy. I think,
Yeah.
like an actual full-on legacy. Not like Fast and Furious has got a legacy, but it's not a great one. But like an actual change cinema kind of way
Mm.
and beloved. Whereas everything below is great, but not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I think yeah. It feels right that it's not. It's just below Oppenheimer right now. I don't know if it'll be bumped up or down or how it's going to shape out event in the end, but yeah, that feels about right for now. Above Age of Ultron, but below Oppenheimer.
So we did our first battle royale, which was Harry Potter, and
Yeah.
the winner of that was Goblet of Fire, and we knew that before we even filmed the episode.
Yeah, neither of us said it out loud, but it was like
No,
we had this like unspoken understanding that we both knew which film we liked the most. And
yeah, I think when we discussed it, you was like, "Oh, I know which one I'm gonna be coming number one." I was like, "Yeah, I know which one." I was like, "I think it's the same one." I was like, "Yeah, probably fucking this." Yeah. And I would have been shocked. I got it in the fucking neck for having Order of the
did you?
Phoenix last. Got it in the fucking neck, and she did say, "I do support." She was like, "I support your podcast. I do love your podcast, but I don't think I can listen to the Harry Potter episode because." She was laughing at me for calling you out for not for the parcel mouth thing. I
And
was
then
like,
you
no,
got it
no,
wrong.
I admit fault later. But then she was talking about like, she was doing like, well, in the books this happens, and you said that this you don't like this, but in the books, I was like, oh god. So she said she struggled to listen to that episode.
Yeah, I bet she had Goblet Order of the Phoenix last and like turn that shit off quick time.
She wasn't happy.
But there's no debate. Goblet of Fire is number one. Like
It
we
is.
agree
It's the
on that.
best Harry Potter film,
Yeah, it was the best film and it was the best book. So
and it's got a dragon in it. There's no other.
more than one.
There's
And you
no
might
other
say,
film. There's no other film on this list that's got a dragon on it. So
I thought you were going to say there's no other film in the franchise. I was like, the
a
first
dragon.
one and the last one, I think.
No, unless I missed a critical scene in Oppenheimer, there's no dragon in any of these films.
No, we've got aliens, we've got DeLoreans, we've got
Atom
fucking
bombs
yeah,
and balloons, but we haven't got dragons.
and we've got Saddam Hussein, but no dragons.
So
This one's tough.
it is tough because it's a franchise that I do love, and if not, I'm not falling out of love with it, but kind of. Oh yeah, that was another one. I don't force you to watch it. Like I never said you did. I just said I've seen it so many times. So no, you said I forced it. And no, I didn't. Anyway, enough of me ranting. It's not a franchise that I've stopped loving. I do still love it. I've just grown a bit tired of it because I've seen it so many times due to having a certain taste in woman, it seems. So um but genuinely I could put Goblet of Fire on now and just watch it and be happy watching it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. Like growing up, like I said in the episode, I was a big Harry Potter fan. I read the books over and over and over, and I've watched most of the films like numerous times. And as I've got older, I have kind of drifted away from the franchise a little. But that is the one that I can still just put on and sit back and watch. Like I think it's brilliant. I think
You said you're a massive Potter fan, but didn't Eleanor beat you at Trivial Pursuit?
yeah, because she's a fucking super fan. She is mental. Some of the things she pulls out of her fucking ass, like it's mental. Probably shouldn't have said that. Pulls out of her ass. That's a magic trick.
I don't want to know what you do in your personal time.
No, she is incredibly knowledgeable, and it's strange because she's never actually read the books all the way through like properly. Like when she was little, her mum used to read them to her, but she's never read the books herself. But she just knows she's got like an encyclopedic knowledge of anything that happens in it. So yeah, she beat me, but I take no shame in that. I put up a valiant
Do you
effort.
think? Do you think? I know I 100% know the answer from Grace, but should we do a Battle Royale Harry Potter episode where instead of us two, it's them two, and see how it turns out?
Yeah, I don't think Eleanor would ever let herself be caught on camera.
Oh dear. Cool. So Goblet of Fire, better than Age of Ultron,
Yeah,
better than Fast and Furious.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But is it better than Oppenheimer?
Oh no,
Yeah, okay, good.
no, it's not.
No, it's not. It's
I'd
not.
love to make a case, but it's not.
It's a very different movie. It's so completely different that it seems unfair to put it up against Oppenheimer. But there's a lot of fire in Oppenheimer, and there's a dragon that breathes fire. So yeah,
There's three,
that's yeah, exactly.
four. Actually, there's four. There's four because
Oh yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
four
There is.
champions, isn't there?
But yeah, it's not like Oppenheimer is the better film.
Yeah, there's no question really. I
No.
think,
It was. The question was, is it better than Oppenheimer?
yeah, and I'm saying that's not a question. It's a joke of a question. But I think even if you look back at this in a year's time, I feel like with the amount of success Oppenheimer is sure to have at the Oscars and stuff now, it'd look foolish to rank Goblet of Fire above it because
Especially when you've got like every performance in Oppenheimer is perfect.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's not one
there are
performance in Harry
performances.
Potter better.
No, no.
I don't think anyone does a better performance. Like, don't get me wrong, I like some of the performances. Like, I like,
Mad Eye Moody, maybe, but
yeah, I like that performance.
yeah,
I like Barty Crouch. I
for the
forget the
very,
name of the actor. He played Trigger in Only Fools and Horses.
I don't know his name.
Passed away, bless him. But I think he was good.
Yeah,
I think most of the cast was good, but the
it's not good. Not
Oppenheimer cast, to steal a word from you, was phenomenal. Like I think they were so good. There's not many people in that cast that did a less than stellar job. So yeah, and then you talk about the technical achievements that Oppenheimer had and everything it's done.
I mean,
I
Goblet
can't,
of Fire still looks great for like it looks better than some of the later films, but yeah, Oppenheimer did something truly spectacular.
yeah, so I can't quite put it above. It's my
Me
favorite
neither.
Harry Potter movie, but it's not quite at that level. I don't think.
I mean, if your favorite superhero with your favorite superhero actor and you and everything can't even make it to the top spot, then where does how does Harry Potter even get a chance?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not favorite superhero in your not favorite superhero movie, you can't get that to number one. I don't know what you can do really. You didn't really put up a very convincing case considering you spoke vocally about how that's not your Superman.
You fucking got me in a logical corner, you son of a bitch. Right, so this one's interesting. So we did Batman versus Superman and Civil War, and that came out as a draw. And because we was adamant we needed 10 films rather than 11, because we've done 10 episodes, we've decided we couldn't in the episode decide which one was better than which. So in what's going to be very interesting, we've got two films together. So Batman versus Superman and Civil War is going to be its own thing. So it's Batman versus Superman and Civil War versus Age of Ultron, Fast and Furious, Goblet of Fire, Oppenheimer, Alien, Superman, and Back to the Future. So it's going to be weird doing two films,
Yeah.
but we couldn't, you know, come to a reasonable conclusion in the episode. So it wouldn't be fair to put one above the other now. So my opinion still haven't changed. Like I was quite happy with how that turned out. I still do think that Batman versus Superman should have won, but whatever. Um, but you know, it's that's one that's so Batman versus Superman is one that a select group of people love, but it's got its major criticisms. Whereas Civil War, I think the majority of people love, and there's a small amount of people with criticisms against it, like how there should have been more heroes or how it should have waited to it, and how the airport scene looked a bit bland in the fighting and flat and stuff. So I do think it quite balances each other out, but pitting it up against the other movies is going to be quite interesting.
Yeah. Like you said, we had them tied after the showdown, so it's hard to really take one and leave the other. But also bringing them both into this now, it'd be hard to rank one above the other when we literally couldn't do that when given the
Yeah.
chance. So yeah, it made sense to put them together. I'm not quite sure how it's going to work in terms of it's. Do you take both sets of performances into account? Do you take both stories into account when weighing it against something else? Because they're both very good films. But you're the one who is very, very vocal about your appreciation of Batman versus Superman. So
I
I
think
think
appreciation is the wrong word. I think obsession and love are the right words.
I'm trying to make it less creepy, but no worries.
I,
Uh,
I, I genuinely like. I said when we did the episode, I introduced my friend to the Ultimate Cut, and he went from hating the film because he'd seen the theatrical to loving the film and wanting to. So he's gone back and watched Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Wonder Woman, ready for when we watch Zack Snyder's Justice League together. Um, And I genuinely was like, I could watch Batman versus Superman again. I'd just pop it on again. I'm happy to watch it, but I didn't. I lent my Blu-ray to somebody so that they could get an appreciation of it as well. Dan, you better be fucking watching it.
There's no chance. He's
Actually,
got
no,
some.
this will be like 2 weeks since I gave it. Yeah, I hope you fucking watched it already.
Yeah, there's no chance to be watching some hand-drawn Godzilla cartoon from the 1940s or something
Advert,
like that.
hand-drawn Godzilla advert that lasts 10 seconds and gets a 5-star rating on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
This is probably 2 episodes in a row. I think we shouted that down. Yeah, I love that. I love both movies. I think Civil War still top tier Marvel, with its flaws. Batman vs Superman is, it hurts me every time I think about it because of Warner Brothers' reaction to Civil War and to the Marvel movies, which massively derailed the DCU. So, yeah, I think we just kind of need to, I don't know, take it, yeah, all the performances together, all the everything together. They are still different movies, but like you say, we couldn't rank them one higher than the other before, so it wouldn't be unfair to do it now. So would you say that both of those movies together, or well, actually no, if we can't say that one, so let's do it this way: if we can't say that Batman versus Superman is better than a certain film, or if Civil War is better than a certain film, it can't go any higher. So they both have to go up, or they can't go up at all. So one might, obviously Civil War's dragging Batman versus Superman down. We all know that.
Whatever you need to tell yourself.
The problem is Batman vs Superman's got my favorite Superman and my favorite Batman, and Civil War has Hawkeye.
Yeah, unbelievable.
They're my two. Hawkeye and Ant Man are my two favorite Marvel heroes. So
Ant-Man.
yeah, Ant Man. Well, they're from the first
Lord.
Ant Man, not from any of the other films. But
Not from Quantum Mania.
not from the Ant Man sequels, just all the other films that he did.
So,
So
Age of Ultron.
I mean, they're both better films than Age of Ultron.
I agree.
Good, because
Yeah, I've got them
if
above
we
Age of
fell down
Ultron.
there, that would have really just wasted a lot of time.
Yeah, I've got them above Age of Ultron. I think both films are just superior. This one helps because they're up against another superhero film, and I think they're just both superior superhero movies to Age of Ultron. They've got better stars. Like I think Civil War's story, where it's Cap versus Iron Man, and the surrounding cast is better than having the story in Age of Ultron where they take on like Ultron. And
Did you? For a
it's
second there, it sounded like you were struggling to think of the bad guy's name.
no, I just it felt weird
What's his
saying
name? What's that bad guy's name in Age of Ultron?
it felt weird saying his name twice in like 4 seconds.
Oh,
But then Batman vs Superman's got the best Batman and a very, very good Superman. Not quite number one, but a good
and
one.
a fantastic Wonder Woman before they ruined her.
Yeah, and a trash Lois Lane.
Excuse me. Let's not. Let's not play. Let's not play silly boggers now. Um,
But yeah, it's above Age of Ultron. How would you have it? Would you have them above Fast and Furious? Because you just said it's one of your favorite films.
so is Batman vs Superman. But I did just say that if Civil War can't go up, but so is Civil War. Yeah, I think I would.
So
Yeah.
you
Oh yeah.
put so they're
Yeah.
above Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Now it gets interesting because what we've got next, Goblet of Fire.
I am gonna catch hate for this, but I would rank Batman versus Superman above Goblet of Fire. I wouldn't rank Civil War above it.
Really?
Really. And
So
I
what?
tell you, and I tell you why. It's the airport scene. For as beloved as the airport scene is, rewatching it for this podcast, I was like, God, this looks bland. And I've seen people say it before. I've seen people say it for years, and I've never seen it. I've always kind of rose tinted glasses. But like you compare it to like stuff in No Way Home where you've got multiple different characters and Infinity War and Guardians and all that kind of stuff, where you've got these groups of characters fighting in these big open spaces. Like the airport scene just seems a bit empty and bland, and the CG is not all that great in it. And so Batman vs Superman I would, but Civil War I wouldn't. So I'm going to put it. I'm going to go by my own rules. I'm shooting myself in the dick here. I'm going to go by my own rules. I'm going to put it below. I would put it below Goblet of Fire. So it's really up to you to convince me to argue this.
See, I am surprised with myself here because I think I'd have them both above Goblet of Fire.
Really?
I think I'd have them both above, yeah. I think while I've, like I said, Goblet of Fire is my favorite Harry Potter movie, I think both Batman vs Superman and Civil War are just superior movies. I think the performances in both are better. I think the stories are better. I think what hurts Goblet of Fire for me is the way it's adapted from a book, and there's a lot missing, so it's not been adapted great.
There was Civil War.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
There
getting
was so
to.
much
I think the
missing.
Civil War movie is better than the comic book.
Okay.
I read the comic book after I watched the film, admittedly, but I actually think I prefer the movie because the Civil War comic is very different to the
Very,
movie. Like
very
the
convoluted.
stories are almost nothing alike.
Yeah.
But I think it improves it. I think having Cap and Iron Man fight, especially over Bucky and the way that eventually leads, what that leads to, as opposed to in the comic where there's a lot of, it's obviously very similar where the heroes are split down the middle, but there's a lot of minor characters playing big roles as well. And there's obviously some very big changes, like not having Spider-Man reveal his identity and not killing off Cap. But I just think I preferred the MCU version, whereas I prefer the Goblet of Fire book to the film, and that's probably my biggest basis on putting them above because I think it takes the source material and makes it better. Where I think Goblet of Fire made the source material worse, and I love Batman vs Superman as well. I think it's so underrated. I think the story for the most part is so nuanced and well told, and it deserves a lot more love than it gets. And like I said, Ben Affleck, best Batman we ever had. So
Hobbs Batman.
Ben Affleck or fucking Harry Potter, he would kick that motherfucker's ass. I don't care if he's got magic, he'll dodge that shit. So
I will put it above Goblet of Fire just purely because I'm not putting it above Oppenheimer, but purely
no, hell
because
fucking no.
but purely because in terms of a trilogy, Civil War, I love the Cap trilogy. Whereas Goblet of Fire is one film I love out of like 4 out of 7, maybe, with the Harry Potter stuff. So, okay, we'll go above Goblet of Fire. Hear that?
Beneath Oppenheimer.
Yeah, it's not winning. It's not winning above Oppenheimer. Like Batman vs Superman, I would, but Civil War, I can't. In great conscience, no, it's not happening. That seems
That's
fair.
fair. Oppenheimer really does seem to be that barrier.
Yeah,
No one's getting past it anymore.
Up, a very, very different film to all of these.
Yeah, this is really hard to like rate because Up is completely different to any other movie in this list.
Yeah,
It's obviously an animated movie. It's not the only animated movie we've got, but it's very
it's similar to
different.
the other. It's no, I'll say it's similar.
Oh yeah, they're pretty much the same.
Yeah,
It's
pretty much.
Up's obviously the one that I picked with the first pick in my Pixar category Carnage after I pulled it back to make it 2-1 on the rock, paper, scissors. Fucking comeback is going strong. Hell of a redemption arc right now. Yeah, and I took Up first for the best opening because I genuinely think not just Pixar, I think the opening to Up is one of the most moving and effective ones in any movie, especially a kids movie that I've ever seen. I love Up. I love the entire movie. I think it's brilliant. I haven't watched that new short yet that they've done about
It's okay.
is it? It's not
Well,
really
Dan
uprooting
again
entries.
was
Huh?
like Dan again made it was like friend Dan said it made him tear up and it broke his heart. Like Pixar was able to do it again, and I was like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to die, but he done.
What, a short if they bring him back just to kill him off? That'd have been cruel. No,
Classic Pixar would have had the balls. Not this
no,
new shit. Oh, I finally watched Elemental.
me too.
Crap.
I didn't mind it. I thought it was fine. I liked it. I thought Wade was fucking fantastic. What a character.
I just basic. I just think it's such a basic by the numbers film. Could have been any. I put in my letterbox review. Could have been any studio that made that film. It didn't feel like a Pixar film. But anyway,
Yeah.
Up.
Where would you rank up in Pixar movies? Would you say it's one of the best Pixar movies?
It's one of the best, definitely.
Would you say it's better than Age of Ultron?
I don't know. There's no bow and arrow in Up that I remember.
No, but there is a villain dog with a squeaky voice, which is what all movies need, I think, because that made me piss myself first time
What?
I
Age of
saw that.
Ultron?
I think every movie needs one of them.
I can't believe how much I've said Age of Ultron is an underrated piece of media, and I love it so much. And it's probably going to end up at the bottom because I do think it's better than Age of Ultron.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I'm glad we agree on that one. Yeah, it feels harsh in Age of Ultron, but this is a list of the best films we've done so far, so it's not like it's going up against
Yeah.
Lightyear per se.
No, because if
Um,
it did, it'd have no fucking chance.
um,
But it's not better than Fast and Furious. Don't even fucking try and argue me on that one, you son of a bitch. Like I've let a few slide. I let Superman be number two. I've let Civil War go above Goblet of Fire. I am not saying fucking Up is better than Fast and Furious. I don't care if this turns into a 4 hour podcast, just me sat here folding my arms.
Sulking with bottom lip out.
That sounds more like.
No, I'm fine saying it's underneath Fast and Furious. I think personally, I'd have had it one above. I think it'd have been between Fast and Furious and Goblet of Fire for me, but I'm okay with it being beneath the Fast and Furious.
I think for me, the Fast and Furious movie means like Up is a great Pixar movie, but it's not the best Pixar movie. Like that still goes to Lightyear, and
Fucking hell.
that still goes to Toy Story 3 for me anyway. And I even think Inside Out's better than Up in a lot of ways as well.
I
But
100% agree that Inside Out's better than Up.
yeah, whereas the first Fast and Furious movie to me is still the best one. And it's I can't argue again. I love that movie. I've got such a strange to say I'm not a car guy or I'm not into street racing or any of that kind of shit. Like it holds such a special place in my heart that it would genuinely would break me if it ended up second to last.
No, that's fine. I think, yeah, I can agree. I can deal with Up being the new Fast and Furious. That's fair. You've made a lot of compromises for me so far. I can settle with this one. I
Yeah.
don't care. I like Up, but I
No,
don't
you
care
still
enough
work for
about
me,
it.
so that's a compromise enough.
You are?
Said you still work for me. That's a compromise. That's a
Yeah.
compromise.
Um, I like Up, but I don't care about it enough to really
Right,
go
Rick.
to, go to bat for it. I think I'm fine with it being where it is. It's a good movie, but like I said, it's not even one of maybe my top three Pixar movies. Like I think I could name a few I've got above it. I've got Coco, Toy Story 2, Inside Out.
Cars
So
3. I genuinely think Cars 3 is better than Up.
you fucking I got no comment to that shite.
I, I genuinely don't think I've ever seen you speechless.
Oh god.
I wasn't
Cars
even
3's all right though.
I
I
wasn't even,
like
I
Cars
wasn't
3.
even being serious. It's just fun to see reaction.
Because I've heard you say some shit so far, but that stumped me. No, I do like Cars 3 though. No disrespect to Cars 3. Good film.
Love it.
Right.
So,
Last one.
last one was probably the we've had a lot of fun on our episodes, but I don't think we've had as much fun as we did last week when we recorded this one. To the point
Yeah.
I actually cried, physically cried, laughing. There was genuine tears. It's South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. But for
Yeah.
what a fucking movie!
Yeah, I've never laughed though. We haven't laughed like we did talking about that one. Yeah, and it's fucking hilarious. I already alluded to it earlier. The Harry Potter might have dragons, but this movie's got a gay Saddam Hussein who's in a relationship with Sid. Like, what more do you want from a film? What more do you want? The songs are incredible. The cast is incredible. I love the story. I think it's brilliant. It's so over the top.
I said I love that it keeps to what the show is. It doesn't try to be something different like The Simpsons. I said kind of did. Like it looks like the show. It feels like the show. It doesn't. It doesn't. Like what was it? It's not ashamed as to what it is, and it just fucking goes balls deep into what South Park is.
Yeah, essentially, it's brilliant. It's unashamedly so fucking offensive, but in the best possible way. Like, I watched it for the podcast, and I could rewatch it over and over. I think, like, I could rewatch it now. I just think
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
yeah. In fact, on the way here, I was listening to the South Park soundtrack.
Where'd you
And
get that?
huh?
Where'd you find that?
I have it downloaded on my phone
Oh dear.
because you can't get it on Spotify.
Yeah, I remember you
Um,
saying.
so um, that and one of my favorite quotes that didn't make it into the episode, we talked about it immediately after we finished filming. So I was like, "Fuck, I forgot to mention it." It's when it's when he says, "I'm sorry, Kyle, you're not a Jew."
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. Like he
no,
thinks it's just an insulting word. He doesn't realize what it means.
no, Kyle, I am a Jew. No, don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's so funny. Like
Um,
we could have spent hours quoting those lines.
I'm happy to do it now.
So I
Goblet, I
mean,
mean, you said it. It's got to be better than Goblet of Fire, surely.
so we'll start at the bottom.
You fucker.
Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
It's better
yeah.
than Age of Ultron. No
But
question. Yeah, I'd put it above up.
why are you sounding like you're struggling? What's wrong with
No, I'd
you?
put it above up.
Fast and Furious,
Yeah.
Goblet of Fire. You just said
Yeah, yeah, I did say.
it has a
Yeah.
dragon, but it doesn't have a gay Saddam Hussein.
Voldemort is not Saddam Hussein.
No.
So
I would love to see Voldemort try and fuck Satan with a fleshy looking dildo.
yeah, Satan would fuck him up. Whereas Satan was Saddam's bitch. Also, Harry Potter Goblet of Fire doesn't have a song about fucking uncles, so don't know what to do with that. Yeah, it's above Goblet of Fire.
100%. Defo. Batman vs Superman and Civil War. Is it better than those two? Why do you look like you're putting a gun in your mouth? You
I'm like that
literally sat there
robot in
like
The
that.
Simpsons.
Oh,
I'm like that bomb disposal robot in The Simpsons. I've too much pressure. Um, I think so.
yeah.
I think it's
I'm
above
so glad
these. Yeah.
because, like we said, I can put that film on and just sit there mouthing the entire script from memory. Know all the lines, know all the words, know all the songs. Just fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
But
No. No.
now, now then, does it break the barrier, the Oppenheimer barrier? Is it maybe that should be a rule? Does it break the Oppenheimer barrier in future episodes? Does it break the Oppenheimer barrier? Is it better than Oppenheimer?
I don't think so. No, I
I
don't think so.
if it was a, I mean, all this is personal, but
Yeah.
personally, I probably couldn't get it as high as Back to the Future. But there are films on here that have changed cinema, which I think Oppenheimer will do, that South Park hasn't. So I'm happy to not have it above Oppenheimer. But if it was a personal decision of what films I absolutely love, this would probably be higher than Back to the Future.
Yeah, now you're getting a bit ahead of yourself. Calm down with
No,
that
I'm
bollocks.
fucking.
The thing
But
is,
if it's films I enjoy, that's what I get. But in terms of the film itself, like we flew past the bottom set of the barrier easily
yeah.
because it can easily be done. But no, I can't. No, I can't put it above. It can't break the barrier. I don't think. And
No, I
even if it
think
did, it wouldn't get above Alien. If we're talking about
there's no
film,
way.
films.
I love South Park the movie, but it's you look at the way those top three, especially with Back to the Future, Superman, and Alien, and the impact they've had on like cinema and the legacies they've built, it doesn't quite compare. And like you said, Oppenheimer in a few years may be in that ilk as well. And I don't see South Park in any way that ever. I can't imagine putting it above it because
You mean
Oppenheimer's got
you
like
can't imagine Cartman in blackface or uh, any of that
Or in Asia.
Or in Asia, yeah, coming back and influencing the world.
I can't imagine so. Not anytime soon. Maybe if we do a complete 180 and we end up back being really offensive.
Yeah.
But where the world's heading, there's no chance that film's legacy is going to get better because it's pretty
Do you know what?
questionable.
Just a really random thought. Consider like with Oppenheimer's got Robert Downey Jr. It's surprising how everybody has turned on Tropic Thunder. Like, and I get it's live action versus animation, but I'm surprised how everybody's turned on Tropic Thunder when it's doing the exact same kind of thing that South Park does, where it's not saying this is okay. It's taking the piss out of people that think it's okay. But nobody's turned on South Park. I've not seen one like, let's cancel South Park, let's cancel the South Park creators. Like, no, there's always the usual like Christian groups and all that kind of like parents and stuff like that. But it's never like widespread, not like it used to be.
Yeah, I think that's the point that a lot of people don't get with Tropic Thunder is it's so clearly supposed to be satire. Like it's supposed to be like, yeah, look, this is wrong, and people are too. I don't know if it's ignorant or naive to even see that. So they just look at it on the surface and see it. They've probably never even watched the film. It's people that have seen pictures, I imagine, and that's where they've turned. Whereas South Park, it seems to, like we said on the episode, it seems to just get away with everything because no one's off limits. So I'm not surprised that it's somehow avoided any sort of that like backlash. Although you mentioned it then with like the Christian communities and stuff that have turned on it. It's pretty much like the film in that sense, like with the Terrence and Phillip. That is, and the way Kyle's mum and that react to it. That's essentially how a lot of people may have treated it. But
Yeah, good point. Very good point.
I don't care. I love it. I think it's brilliant. But
Comes to
considering
an
like the
end.
technical achievements and the performances across the board in Oppenheimer, it's really hard to even try come up with an argument that South Park's the better film. So I'm afraid I can't quite get there.
So in the end, Oppenheimer's in a really interesting place for how it all looks. So that's all the film's done now. That's this week's Battle Royale after our 11th episode together. So we're ranking our 10 episodes together. In a, like we said, this is your life kind of way. Stroll through memory lane. So at the bottom, which does hurt a little bit, but poor
Your
Hawkeye.
first pick, that says more about you than anything else.
I mean, I've had some questionable picks. So Age of Ultron at number 10. Number 9, Up, which Up had some stiff competition because it's such a different movie to everything else.
Yeah.
It's the only not family friendly one, but like child film.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So it's hard to really compare it against others. If it was more, if the list was more like animated children's films and stuff, it might have fared higher. But
If the guy in the blimp was a Nazi, maybe it would have got higher.
yeah, if Saddam Hussein was in it, it might have been fine.
Number 8, Fast and Furious. Still love it. Number 7, Goblet of Fire. Number
Lower than I
6.
thought it'd be going in, you know.
Oh wait, yeah. Sorry, yeah. What, Goblet of Fire? Number
I thought
6.
it'd be higher going into this episode. I thought we'd have it higher than we did, but it feels about right where it is.
Uh, Number 5, Batman vs Superman and Civil War. Number 4, South Park movie. Bigger, longer, and uncut.
Wait, how have you worked this out? Wait, how's that number 4?
What? Because it beat Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, but there's 4 films still to go. There's Oppenheimer, Alien,
Oh wait, I
Superman.
think I messed up. Oh yeah, I've messed up somewhere. All right. So let me just write numbers next to them because I'm clearly just getting confused. Right, sorry. 10, Age of Ultron, 9, Up, 8, Fast and Furious. Honestly, I think this podcast makes me sound a lot stupider than I actually am.
Oh no,
8,
no, it's got you spot on.
the camera doesn't lie. 8, Fast and Furious, 7, Goblet of Fire, 6, Batman vs Superman and Civil War, tied. 5, South Park. Then Oppenheimer at number 4, which we immediately started to see was the barrier that you had to cross.
Yeah.
But it being number 4 perfectly protects the top 3. And the top 3 are literally, I don't want to sound too cool, but I'm going to say goats.
Yeah.
So number 3, Alien. absolute classic. Number two, Superman, and number one. I mean, I'm not going to argue it, but
Beautiful.
it's interesting to see you open up at the beginning of the episode by calling me another host and feeding back. But yeah, your favorite film on your podcast is Back to the Future's number one.
Hey, if my favorite film was Lightyear, I'd understand, but Back to the Future is one of the best films ever.
I know. Just wait. So if this is about if we do another battle royale where we do the last 10 films, would Back to the Future compete against the next 9 films we do?
What do you mean? Oh, that'd be, I don't know.
Would it
No,
be
there's
like
no point because I'd be
would it
fighting for it number one every time. It'd be,
would it just go number one every time?
well, I'd fight for it. I don't know if it could get
Oh, I
there,
don't
but
know. I'm not. We're not. I'm not going to put spoilers out, but the last Halloween episode we're going to do could bring some stiff competition to Back to the Future in my eyes.
yeah. So I think it's best leaving that there now.
Yeah, let's
And
just leave it where it is. That can be. That can
well,
be.
I think we've obviously got a lot of Halloween-based episodes coming up now. So, which you know what's interesting though, because if we do this for 10 episodes, the next 10 weeks could lead into Christmas. So we might end up like trying to rank Christmas films against Halloween. So I'm not really sure how that's going to go.
Oh, I hope Nightmare Before Christmas in there somewhere. And then we have to
Um,
argue what it is and what it isn't.
yeah, do you know what's interesting? I think the way this is shaped out, the top four: Back to the Future, Superman, Alien, and Oppenheimer. Coincidentally, the only four in this list I think that I've actually got rated 5 stars on Letterboxd, so that's worked out quite nicely for me. I don't think any of the others
You
are that
fucking
though.
smug look on your face, you son of a bitch.
How if Oppenheimer had lost and Barbie was in, where do you think that would have ranked?
Ooh, probably the same place.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I really liked that film. That's another one that I rewatched, and I think at first I had that at 4.5, and I rewatched and bumped that up to 5 stars. I think it's brilliant.
Agreed.
But well, that's that done then.
I think
Another
I just thought we should have named it. I should have renamed it at the beginning. This isn't just any regular battle royale. This should be our ultimate battle royale.
the ultimate battle royale. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Get that on the name.
After only having one.
Yeah, yeah. We've got one, and now we're already doing the ultimate one.
Yeah.
But essentially, what's Batman versus Superman? They did an ultimate cut. There was only one other cut at that point.
So it's the battle royale ultimate cut.
Yeah, there you go.
Excellent. Excellent. It's in
But
the
no,
bag. No,
that was
10
good.
episodes.
Nice trip down memory lane as we look back at the first 10 episodes of hopefully what will lead to many more. I enjoyed that.
I'll take that as that you want to spend more time with me. I'll take it as the compliment. I know you intended it.
Yeah, that's what it is. We'll move on quickly from that. I mean, if I can keep winning with Back to the Future, you can stay as long as you want.
Yeah, but we're never touching Back to the Future again. I don't think it's fair to touch Back to
No,
the Future.
that's fair. Yeah, I think
It's when
obviously
I think the biggest point of contention is when we do Goodfellas versus Godfather, because I know you're in favour of one and I'm more in favour of the other.
that's going to be difficult for me because I actually think both are two of the greatest films ever. Like it's hard. I've got one's there.
No, you ain't got a Goodfellas poster up.
I do actually.
Dear.
Yep.
You see, there you go. It must be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think those two are probably the greatest gangster films ever, and actually just two of the straight up best films ever. So that will be an interesting one whenever we get to it. But yeah, there's another episode done then, a special one. Thanks for checking that out, guys. If you're wanting to find me anywhere else, I will be on Twitter at Callum Altimus. Probably at this point in tears about Black Mirror's downfall, which I imagine is inevitably coming. I'm also on Letterboxd at Caltimus, not Caltimus, just Caltimus. I almost forgot my own username for a second then. Where I'm just about to dive fully in on the Halloween movies. Horror's coming. This is it now, because from October to New Year, I don't really get to watch any normal films. It's just going to be all horror straight into Christmas. So at least with this
No, no,
podcast,
no.
I'll have an
You don't watch
excuse.
Christmas films in November, surely.
I fucking do.
Oh, fucking
Straight up.
hell.
Straight up.
You're gonna have some of that fucking Hallmark Channel shit on, aren't you?
Yeah, oh, I do. I check them all out. One of my favorite TV shows is One Tree Hill, and recently they've started this trend where a load of the old cast do these random Christmas Hallmark films together, and I fucking lap them up every single time. I love it. You see some of that on me letterbox cropping up with like 2.5 stars for a movie that you've never heard of.
Fucking
Don't worry
blocking.
about it.
I'm blocking you.
But yeah, where can we find you, sir?
At Nay_214 on Twitter, where, as per usual, I only talk about Star Wars. Well into Ahsoka now. We're coming up to the end, so it's going to be good.
I've still not watched it, but I've seen little bits online that look really good. I've saw a particular spoiler from a few weeks back, which it's got me on. I need to watch it now.
You need to watch it now, yeah, definitely. I know exactly what you're talking about, and let me just tell you, I fucking cried like a little bitch. It was fantastic, and letterboxed at Nay214 without the underscore, where I am trying to watch more films, but I'm a very busy boy.
Yeah, very busy. I mean, it won't be long now until you're in the sun, will it?
A week today. Oh no, in the sun, 3 days from this episode.
Living it up. But yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to subscribe to the channel and like the video, and head over to the likes of Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music, where the audio-only version of this is available if you're sick of watching me attempt to point at these posters behind me, or that eye behind Nathan keeps freaking you the fuck out. Yeah.
Every random week when I need to change location.
Yeah, if that freaks you the fuck out.
Yeah, don't forget to pop on Instagram, Facebook. I think Instagram gets the most love out of the three, to be fair. Twitter doesn't. We don't get anything on Twitter, but it's a dying platform anyway. But Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook to see what's coming up next and watch my terrible takes or opinions that Cal has no control over because he doesn't know what I'm posting.
I just randomly pop up once there's like an anniversary of someone's birthday or something. I'll just be like, oh, look at this. And that's about it.
You can 100% tell what your posts are and what my posts are.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, they're all at the CineMatch podcast. Or I think the actual username, which will be underneath, as he's pointing out, is at CineMatch Pod. So you can find us on all those platforms. Next week, I believe, is October, so we'll be full swing on the Halloween side of things, which we've got already the entire month's content pretty much planned. We've got some great ideas to really focus on the season and really shine out on horror, because I'm surprised, for me, horror is one of my favourite genres, and we're now, 12 episodes in and we haven't touched it once yet, so that's really surprising.
Now we get a month of it.
Yeah, making up for it. Got to get it all in.
I will be in trick-or-treat clothes next week. Get ready. This podcast is going full spooky next week.
Yeah, we'll have to put green screen. I'll get some fucking pumpkins about this room. I might just spend a shit ton of money and replace all these posters with horror ones.
Oh, that would be great. You need a pumpkin between the foam fingers and the little house.
Yeah, there. That house has actually got skulls on it, so that counts.
Oh, yes, it is very clear.
There's The Thing, there's Scream, and there's Halloween there, so that's in the vibe.
You got the massive screen behind you as well.
Yeah, there you go.
You just need some more.
Scream 5, yeah, I might get more. I might do it.
Excellent.
But yeah, enough for that, guys. Like I said, we've got an exciting month planned, and we hope to see you back next week for another episode. But until then, peace out.
Weeks. You can go for 10 weeks.